Welcome to your journey of healing with the Healing Podcast, hosted by licensed clinician Monique Owe and co-host Dr. Amber Mohn.
Thank you for tuning in to the Healing Podcast. I am your host, Monique Owe, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host here,
Dr. Amber Mohn.
Okay, so today's topic is not having children and the comments or opinions that follow. So if I can say, this episode is about women who do not have children and whether they are of a certain age or not, and the opinions or things they may hear about the fact that they do not have children, or maybe the assumptions that people make. So I'll start this one off here with maybe a couple of assumptions. Many times people may feel they have a lot of freedom, they can do what they want, they don't know about responsibilities, they're not a nurturer, or they just, as people assume that, oh, you never wanted to have kids, oh, why not? Why are you not getting to it? So that is some of the assumptions that people may make about when they see a woman of a certain age that does not have any children, because maybe they're comparing maybe a person who does have children to the person who does not, and all that may come with being a mom. But that's just some of the assumptions. And before I go into any other assumptions that may happen because of that, let me ask Dr. Mohn. Dr. Mohn, what do you think? Do you hear any assumptions that people make about women without children?
You listed the main ones, that they may be selfish, but yeah.
Okay. Another thing I think that happens when a woman does not have children, if they make a suggestion, a parenting tip to someone, the parent may feel offended. They may feel like, what do you know? Because you don't have any kids. So how can you tell me anything about my kids? That is something that they may experience. But I want to come through the other side of that. When a woman does not have children, there are some things that may follow with that. Because do we really know why that woman does not have children? I think we could assume that she has a life of freedom, right? Because she does not have to worry about getting someone up in the morning. She does not have to worry about, if it's an infant, getting up, having to change a diaper in the middle of the night and losing hours of sleep, especially when the babies are very, very young newborns. She doesn't have to worry about childcare or school enrollment, things like that that come with being a mom, right? She can just maybe go. So people may feel she has a life of freedom. That wouldn't suggest maybe she has no responsibilities, because she may be a caretaker or maybe going through something else. But let's go about the motherhood part, right? What if that woman cannot have children? What if that woman has been pregnant but has not been able to carry to term? What if that woman's child may have been a stillbirth? So it's too traumatic for her to maybe get pregnant again. Or maybe she's trying and it's just she can't conceive. It's been an issue. So while it may look like she has a life of freedom and lack of responsibility, she can just go, get up and go. Maybe it's a little pain there that she's experiencing. So I want to just talk, this episode is about what women may experience outside of the assumptions or the opinions if they do not have any children. Dr. Mohn, can you think of anything else as a woman that they may go through when they maybe are not able to conceive, or maybe they've had some trauma behind being able to conceive?
Honestly, Monique, that's a tough one. I can empathize, but I cannot relate, because I do have children. I can think of, so, that's a hard, it's a hard to
see that one. Have you ever had a client in therapy express to you what it may have been like, them going through maybe a miscarriage, or maybe, a friend or anyone that had a trauma with a miscarriage or something like that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just a huge loss. Depression, feeling, inadequate. Because here it is, you have people around you who, had successful pregnancies, and, here it is, you have to be, not have to be, but, you're supposed to be happy for them. But yet, you're trying, to conceive your own, and that's hard. It's hard to be happy for somebody when you're trying, to have your own, your own child. So it's a lot of just heartache, depression, anger, resentment. Yeah,
those are things that happen. It's true. I think sometimes a woman that does not have kids too, she may not feel as much of a woman. Like a woman, she may feel, I'm not as good. My body will not produce, does not carry. So she may not feel as much like a woman or a lady, because she cannot do that. Maybe people have called her barren. Back in the day, they used to say that a lot. I don't think I hear that anymore. But, things like that. And she just may feel, why can't my body just carry the term? Or, that's if she wants to. But then we have the other side of women who don't want to be moms. They'd rather be godmom, auntie, all that. but they don't want to be a mom. And I feel like, let me ask you, Doc, do you feel like people are accepting of people's choice? If a woman says, I just don't want to be a mom, are people accepting of that, do you think?
I think it's hard for people to understand that, unfortunately. It's hard for, our society to believe that, there are women out here that just don't want to have kids, that are just not interested in having kids.
Right. Why is that? I mean, I don't know. Why is that so hard for our society to accept? This is just a choice that woman made, or women that I just don't want to have kids.
Right.
I love them from a distance and other people, but I just didn't want any. Why is our society so hard on women with that?
That's a good question. I just think that it's just been the way of life, since forever.
Yep.
And so to fathom that, here's a woman here who, would rather, in their mind,
right,
choose her career or her independence or just being, single over, bringing a life in this world, it's just hard for people to fathom.
Right. That is true. I think that it is that. It's always something about maybe what the woman should be doing versus what she wants to do is, well, you should be this. You should, because you bring forth life, right? Without women, would we even be here? Any of us, right? Without our moms, we wouldn't be here. Someone had to birth us. So I think it is just one of those things. It's one of those things, I guess you can say, those double standards, because if a man doesn't have any children, do you think, does he get the same judgment?
Oh, that's a catch right
there. That's a catch.
That's you don't have no kids today? Right. Oh, that's a catch.
That's a catch.
Yeah.
That's a catch. So the men, it's a catch. The women, we're looking at you sideways. But I think, but this is more of an episode just hopefully to encourage those women who are not able, or who just maybe not yet, they didn't have any children. Whether you chose it or it just hasn't been your time. Maybe you can conceive. Maybe you want to conceive, but you're just not with somebody that you have been able to conceive, that you want to have a child with, right? You may feel like, well, I'd rather be married before I have a child, right? And I think people may assume, oh, she must have had a whole bunch of abortions. But that may not be the case. She may not have ever had an abortion. She may not have had any miscarriage. She just said, well, I'm just waiting until I marry because I'd rather raise my child with a spouse. So that could be one of the things there that may happen. And I think, we're just letting you know that all those pains that come with that, whether you're feeling depressed, like Dr. Mohn said, maybe anger, resentment, because you feel like I just haven't been able to do it. Whether it's been a choice that, right now I feel like I do like that I don't have to worry about childcare or the expense of being able to provide for my child, make sure my child is fed and nurtured appropriately. I'd rather worry just about me and my other adult responsibilities. That is okay. I think either way, it is okay. We just want to help you get through that day by day. So before we go into more about what happens when you're not able to conceive, or maybe you just don't have children, and we're going to make a quick segue here. I'm going to go into, you guessed it, the situation. So we're going to turn it over to Dr. Mohn. And Dr. Mohn, what is our situation for today?
All right. Thank you, Monique. Okay, so Healing Podcast listeners, this situation is a little different. So today, this one, Monique saw posted on Facebook, and she figured, hey, why not just, use it for the situation segment? Because after all, this is a situation. Okay, so it reads like this. My neighbor's wife is cheating on her husband while he is at work. I just saw her come out the house, hugging and kissing this man who was not her husband. The husband and I are not friends, but we are cordial if and when we see each other. The wife and I have never spoken. However, today, when she noticed I saw her kiss the guy, she came over to me and said, "You saw nothing." I don't like seeing people being mistreated or used. The husband seems like a good guy. Am I wrong to just mind my business and act like she boldly suggested, like I saw nothing? Oh my goodness. Oh goodness. Okay. So my suggestion, in this situation is you don't really know your neighbors. You're on a high and by basis. So I probably wouldn't, if I was in your situation, I probably wouldn't, say anything to the husband. However, you are an adult. You are free. You are an American citizen. So if he comes knocking on that door and you choose to say, you know what, by the way, I sure did. I saw her out there. You are in your rights to say what you want to. Okay. But would I just go over there and just, wave him down and be like, hey, this is what I saw? I wouldn't do that. But yeah, that's my opinion.
Thank you, Dr. Mohn. And thank you for writing it. Well, this wasn't a writing. This was me seeing it on Facebook. So thank you for posting it. Well, I think I'm just going to say, no, you're not wrong to stay out of it. I think stay out of it. Yeah, you don't know the ins and outs. You never know what's going on behind closed doors in somebody's marriage and why things are happening or how things appear, right? We just don't know. And I don't know the guy that she was kissing or hugging. I don't know. Was it a peck? You didn't really say, was it a big hug? Was it quick? Goodbye on the cheek. Could have been her brother, right? Unless it was a romantic kiss.
Hugging and kissing.
Well, they didn't say, excuse me, how the kids. I'm gonna give a little, a little other side here, but let's say, okay, if this was a romantic kiss, yeah, and you're like, wait, well, that's not the guy I always see at your house. So I think other doors get open when you jump in people's business when you shouldn't be there. So I think, stay out of it. I don't think you're wrong if you decide to stay out of it. Like she said, you saw nothing, so act like you saw nothing. But
that just sounds like a threat to me, Monique.
You saw nothing, and I don't know who she is. You don't know how crazy she is. Yeah. Like if you do expose her, is she really crazy? Now I'm not gonna say there's some people out here who are really extreme and vindictive and spiteful and will go way beyond just because they think you threatened anything in their life. So I think from that one, it's just stay out of it. But I think the assumptions that will come from that, because she knows that may create some paranoia in her, but we don't know that. I think for you, just keep minding your business. And then if one day he does come to you and ask you something, do you know anything? You have a choice to say no comment, like, not really. If you feel like it's best to mind your business. If you've been peaceful in that neighborhood, minding your business and just saying hi and bye, I think do what maintains your peace. But I guess as an adult, like Dr. Mohn said, you have the choice to do however you want. But I just think that was interesting, Dr. Mohn. I brought that up because there's many times when people may see someone that's being unfaithful. Mm-hmm. Maybe they see a friend, somebody out. My take is I stay out of it. Don't get involved, because many times, even when you think you're helping, you'll be surprised that people will turn against the friend. They won't join the friend. They'll turn against the friend and stay with the spouse or the boyfriend or the girlfriend who's been doing the dirt, and look at the friend like you're the one who's shady for even telling me. So I think maintain your boundary unless it's a situation where you really have to say something like this is something. Because I think what we see is not always what is. Sometimes we assume things and we don't know. That's just my take on that one. But Dr. Mohn, any more about this situation, this type of scenario?
No.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So I thank you, listeners, for still, of course, tuning into the Healing Podcast. If you ever have a situation, we want you to go ahead. You can go ahead to thehealingpodcast.com, hit the contact tab, and you can submit your situation there. Or you can email us at support@thehealingpodcast.com. Again, that's support@thehealingpodcast.com. Before we get into our topic again about not being able to have children or not having children in the comments that follow, we want to mention our sponsor, that is healingexpressionsllc.com. If you're in the Atlanta or Georgia area and you want to book a therapeutic session, go to healingexpressionsllc.com and try to book a therapeutic session today. All right, so going back into our topic for today, not having children and the comments or opinions that follow. I guess, Dr. Mohn, can I ask you, why do you think people make an assumption or an opinion about anyone else's life just because they see them without children? Why do they even make an assumption, you think, about someone else's life versus just focusing on their life?
Just honestly being nosy. Everybody has an opinion.
It's true.
So,
that's true.
I think that, typically, we say this, if you can find a man with no kids now, that everybody has kids. So I think that that's just kind of in people's minds. So when you see, a woman, who doesn't have any kids, and I'm not talking about 17 or 18, but, maybe late 20s to mid 30s, you're like, something's wrong. I think that's just, most people's mind. Why does she have kids? What's going on?
What's going on? Right. I think people just like to focus, like Dr. Mohn said, like to have an opinion. And I think it's easy to sometimes focus on someone else's life than your own, right? Because it takes away the attention from maybe what you're going through. So we have observations, we have opinions and thoughts about others. But I think it's just interesting, the children thing, it's very interesting because whether a woman has no children at a certain age, she gets an opinion. If a woman has a lot of children at a certain age, she gets an opinion. If a woman has a children later in age, oh, now you're going to have a baby? It's a certain opinion. So here's the thing. Well, when is it in people's mind, in society, when is it appropriate then for a woman to have a child? Teenage pregnancy, that wasn't great, right? That was too young, people may say. Well, if you were still in school, maybe college, they might say that was too young, maybe, right? If you get out of school and okay, I guess if you are married young and you have your child young, maybe they'll feel that was better, maybe. But if she has a lot of children, that's an issue. So I think, you know what, if you go by society, it's never a right time for anything. People always have an opinion about when should, when not. So what I'm going to say to the women out there who do not have children, please don't feel less than being a woman. I hope that you can get some support around you so that you don't blame yourself for not having a child, and realize people will have an opinion either way. If you want to have a child at 40, at 50, and your body is healthy and you can take care of yourself and you don't need assistance, go ahead and have a child. But if you're not able to take care or have a child, yourself at that age for whatever reason, maybe you can't. Maybe you had a trauma. Maybe someone assaulted you, and because of that assault, they had to do an early hysterectomy on you, and that's why you can't have children. Do not feel pressure to answer anyone's questions about why you don't have children. Just make it so I don't answer that question, or hard no. No, I do not. Oh, why not? My answer, I gave you my answer already. I do not. That was my answer. I don't go into any other detail because it's not for everyone to know. Maybe your therapist, if you go into therapy, you can process it, but I don't think everybody needs to know. I think don't feel pressure to answer the question that people ask. But if you do give the answer, be okay with your answer. I cannot have children, or I'm working on it. And that's all it is, right? Because I think what happens is when people ask that question, are they really ready for the response? If you really told somebody you had a trauma that happened to you and you had to have an early hysterectomy when you were younger because of that trauma, that assault, are they going, what can a person say? I mean, Dr. Mohn, what would a person say? If they get that type of response, well, I can't because I was raped and that rape caused me to have a hysterectomy. What could a person say?
What could or what would they say?
What would they say?
They would probably be like, oh, I'm sorry. And they'd have pie on their face.
Right. They have pie on their face. That'd be true, right? So I think one thing I'll say about this is never ask a question that you're not ready to receive the response for, right? Because you just don't know. I think one thing about this tip is just focus on yourself, right? But I guess if you have a burning desire to know, and you just have to know why that woman does not have a child, just be ready that the response you received might not have been what you thought. You might have thought she was going to say something like, oh, I was living my life and I decided to be free and be whatever, but she might not say that. She may give you something very deep, or she may start crying. That may trigger her. She may break down like, I just can't. I've been trying. We've done IVF. And each time it hasn't been successful. She may say that. What could you say? That would be difficult. I mean, even as a therapist, it's difficult to maybe comfort a woman that's going through that, because are there any words that can comfort that if that's what you're suffering from and that's what you want?
So, Monique, can I just interject?
Sure.
So, with that being said, I'm just going to take a little different approach.
Sure.
Even when you want to know, don't ask, because it's none of your business. It is none of your business as to why this woman over here doesn't want, or I'm not even going to say doesn't want, does not have kids. That's not your business. And, even when you think you know, you don't know. And I'm going to give you an example.
Okay.
I saw this lady at this game, and I had, we had gotten to be friends. I hadn't seen her in a long time. And so we get to talking. And I said the thing that you should never ever say to a woman unless she says to you. I said, oh my goodness, and you're expecting.
Oh.
And you know what this lady told me? No, I've just been sick. And when I tell you, Monique, I wanted to crawl up under a grain of sand because I thought this woman was pregnant, but she was not. And I felt so bad. And so my thing is, I'm saying this to say, even when you think you know, even when you think it's okay, it's not okay. It's not okay to ask. And that's just my opinion those who, because, and I'm hoping today that you've learned that you don't know. There could be childhood trauma we didn't talk about, reasons, things that you've seen, in your past. And then growing up, you're saying, hey, I don't want to have kids because I don't ever want my kids to endure this. You don't know. So even when you think that it's okay, it is not okay.
That's a good one, Dr. Mohn. I like that example. I'm sorry you had to go through that, Dr. Mohn. I know that must have
that's
been
my
painful,
fault.
right?
But I learned a tough lesson.
But you're human, right? Yeah, that was her tough lesson.
Yeah.
I think what happens is, here's the thing. To give some encouragement maybe to the women going through this. Well, one, you're still a woman.
Yes.
Be proud of that you're a woman. The fact that you were able to birth a child or not birth a child does not put weight on you as a woman. Be proud of everything that you bring to the world. The world is a better place because women are here. Okay? So I think we both go hand in hand, men and women, but this is about women. So be proud of you being the fact that you're a woman. You don't have to feel pressured to answer the question. Just like Dr. Mohn said to people, don't ask the question. You don't have to feel pressured to answer the question. You can move on to the next topic. If you are trying, then you are trying. If it has not been successful yet, that does not mean it won't be successful. That does not mean. So keep trying until you can't try anymore. Keep doing it. I know it's it's a toll on your body. I know it's a big emotional process, especially every time you're hopeful. But that is how that would be. Just keep trying until you can't, when your doctor says it's not possible anymore. But you know what? Here's the alternative. It may not feel the same when you don't birth a child, but adoption or fostering a child is a great thing to do, because it's one thing to birth a child. It's another thing to raise and care for a child, right? People can birth children. Maybe they're not that great. Maybe they're having through their own issue. They can't care for that child. But you coming in and nurturing that child, providing for them, raising for them, that still makes you a mom. And I believe, even on Mother's Day, when people say, are you a mother? Nope, happy Mother's Day to everyone. Because in some form, I think you have done something motherly. You've looked out for a child. You've helped them cross the street. You've kind of prevented them from running into the street. You've maybe bought them something. You've been to a birthday party. You've been a godmom. So I think I always say, well, happy Mother's Day to everyone. Because you're a woman and you are a mom, because you bring that nurturing part to this society. So that's what I would say for that. Keep going. Be encouraged. If you are really suffering from depression from it, please go into therapy or consider talking to a coach about it so that you can gain the confidence and peace with the situation for now. Because like I said, just because you're not a mom today or chose not to be a mom today, that does not mean that's going to be your situation tomorrow. You never know how you may change. Dr. Mohn, any other thoughts about this topic with not having children?
No.
Okay, so I want to leave everyone with this. And this is, with a baby or without, you are valuable. You are whole and you matter. So I want to thank you for tuning into the Healing Podcast. We will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.